Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you, Mr. Gardner, and Mr. Warren for being here today. The chairman, to follow up some of his line of questioning a while ago, is it legal to carry a firearm on or any weapon on Amtrak by passengers?
No, Congressman. So we do not permit firearms on board, other than in a locked. You can transport your firearm. We carry it in a locked
Even
facility.
if you've got a permit for the states it's traveling through?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Even if you have a permit to carry it through the states you're traveling on?
That's right. Yeah, we do not allow firearms on board.
Okay. Well, passenger screening protections on Amtrak are nothing like on air travel, or even what the public must go through to enter into this very building here. The Brightline intercity passenger rail system in Florida has implemented screening technologies to help prevent persons from bringing dangerous weapons on its trains. It's not as comprehensive as the airport technology, but it's better than nothing. And if you're sitting there and someone has broken the law and has a weapon and you're totally defenseless, you're pretty much up the creek. So why hasn't Amtrak invested in similar screening technologies to protect the passengers of Amtrak?
Thank you for your question. So we take security very seriously, and we are using a multi-layered system to protect our passengers, and broadly have very good results. Incidents are quite rare on Amtrak, but I share your concern that as we continue, opportunities to increase security are really important. First, a couple of things that we do today already. We have random screening together with TSA. We have a large fleet of trained dogs for both explosives and other interdiction. We partner with DHS for our Viper teams to do inspection and response. Federal Air Marshals, we're in partnership with them to be able to be part of our security forces on our trains. We have increased our APD workforce, and we have put many more officers on trains in the field. We are looking at the kind of technology that you discussed and that Brightline is using, Smithsonian similarly, and many stadiums and others are using relatively unintrusive but potentially effective materials and methods to further screen. And as you mentioned, we have a big network, about 500 stations across America, some huge, handling hundreds of thousands of people, including commuter passengers, and some quite small, trying to think about how we can embed technology into our trains in addition at stations to increase security. One thing I'll note is that Amtrak receives relatively little funding from TSA, and TSA's own program has very relatively little. So for us to increase significantly in this, we do need and will need greater partnerships and support. But we are interested in this and taking it very seriously, because we agree we need to strengthen.
I certainly hope so, because if you're not allowing the private law-abiding citizen passengers to protect themselves, then you have to protect them and keep bad actors from bringing weapons aboard. Last Congress, the infrastructure law gave Amtrak a tremendous amount of funding. In addition to that, Amtrak may apply itself for other federal funding programs and grants, including CRISI grants that the chairman mentioned, and federal state partnerships. CRISI grants are well oversubscribed already, and countless more rail safety projects are in need of funding. There are already over 95 applications for the Fed state program, but only 30 or so will be funded. In Amtrak's annual and legislative report, you seek to get greater permission to use federal funds that you receive from the IIJA to serve as your matching contribution for these other grants. Do you feel that it is appropriate for other stakeholders, such as state and local governments or short-line railroads, to have to compete against Amtrak for these very limited funds?
Well, first, Congressman, let me say we certainly support the CRISI program. We support our Class 2 and Class 3 partners and the broad eligibility of CRISI. it's, I think, important to understand that the dollars that have come to Amtrak are for a very specific set of purposes. We can't use them for many of the activities that we might need to for improving the railroad. They're focused on really state of good repair, replacement activities for our fleet and our stations and our infrastructure. So those dollars aren't eligible for every activity. And the safety focus of CRISI is really unique. That's what we fundamentally seek to partner almost always with host railroads, states and localities, other carriers, to find opportunities for improvement. For instance, further investments in our positive train control system where the system's not required, but where we think it's appropriate. Track upgrades where with host railroads where the track is is falling below standards for Amtrak service. So these are things that we think are good uses of the dollars. They're not things we could use our funds from the IAJ to otherwise accomplish. And Amtrak's a relatively small portion of the total CRISI pot. Most of the dollars are going to freight railroads and for safety programs, and we support that.
I'm out of time. Thank you, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.